What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Blakeney, aka Brandon Lee TV. Kick back, relax, and come take a ride with me. Obviously, the news already broke of the ACC expanding, taking in Cal, taking in Stanford, taking in SMU. A last-ditch effort, I think, to try to strengthen this conference in this crazy realignment era we're in right now. And initially, I thought of those three schools, and I was like, well, what do they bring to the football field? Not much. Then I shifted to men's basketball because I'm like, the ACC is outright one of the best conferences annually, year after year, in men's college basketball. So I go to that, and I'm like, well, these three programs don't really offer much there either. But then I shifted, and I was like, wait a minute. Stanford, though, on the women's side, three-time national champion, 2021 national champions, just 2 years removed, are joining the ACC powers like Duke, who they haven't played in years, a rival in Notre Dame, Carolina, Louisville, Virginia Tech, Wake Forest up and coming. Like, wait a minute, Stanford's joining that? That just gives the ACC a major boost. We're talking they might be next year the toughest conference in women's college basketball. No shade to the SEC, but the way it's looking on the recruitment trail and how this thing is stacking up, I don't know. It's something left to be said. I'm just saying, Stanford is in those conversations with the LSUs and the South Carolinas when you talk about recent national championships. So now I'm like, this is very exciting. This is borderline spooky hours. But what does the move mean for Stanford women's basketball exactly? Well, let's get into it.
You are now locked into the Live with Brandon Blakeney podcast. Here is your host, Brandon Blakeney.
So first off, Stanford has won 3 natties, 2 in the 90s, and then the most recent one in 2021. They are third. Only UConn and Tennessee have more titles than them with 11 and 8, respectfully. So we're talking about one of the most storied programs, especially recently storied programs, with a lot of history and success surrounding this program. In the last 6 tourneys, the ACC has had a total of 47 selections, which is more than any other conference. That's where I'm alluding to that gauntlet. 8 teams from the ACC made the 2023 NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament, becoming the 5th consecutive year it led or tied other conferences for most participants. Duke has the most regular season ACC championships, 9 outright, 3 ties, but the Blue Devils haven't played Stanford since 2012, so we're seeing one of those rivalries really get renewed. As for the most recent ACC tournament champion, Virginia Tech, the Hokies have never faced the Cardinal. So that'll be an interesting matchup, man, seeing rivalries renewed and rivalries getting started from scratch, being built. The reigning ACC regular season champion, Notre Dame, is a team that won the title in 2018. They were the last team to win the national title from the ACC. The Fighting Irish went back to the championship game in 2019, and they beat Stanford in the Elite 8 to advance to the Final Four. They've met a total of 6 times, with Stanford leading the all-time series 4-2. Now, 4 of the meetings have been in the NCAA tournament, so that just shows you they play on the big stage. And the last time they did play during the regular season, it was the early 90s. So this is a matchup that we've been deprived of for a while, an annual regular season matchup. So this is an opportunity where both these programs can start one of the best rivalries in women's college hoops. Stanford has won 26 regular season conference titles as well as 15 Pac-12 tournament titles. That's the most by any Pac-12 team in the history of the conference. Now, last season, it was a down year for the Cardinal by their standards, and honestly, they still didn't have a terrible year by most people's standards. But they did miss the Pac-12 tournament title game for the first time since 2016 after UCLA pulled off the upset in the semifinals. The Cardinals still earned a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, though, so it's crazy to call that a down year. And they did underachieve, though. You know, they failed to make the Sweet 16, and that was the first time that they did that since 2007. Now you look at it, and Tara Vanderveer, Coach Vanderveer, is one of the most winningest coaches in college hoops, men or women, and she's bringing in a pedigree of, one, just the standard, and two, she's looking at this opportunity as a chance to build this brand and join a really good conference. She said, quote, about the move: having coached in the Pac-12 for 38 years or whatever, almost 40 years, it was really painful to see it disappear in 40 minutes. It's a lot of anger. How did this get so bungled? But here we are, and I'm absolutely thrilled that we're in the ACC, she told the Associated Press, end quote. Now, we talk about travel, and they were already playing many East Coast opponents already. Teams are traveling everywhere, so they're just in the thick of it now. As far as a recruitment standpoint, they should still be getting the top players in the West Coast, and this might help them land more players in the East Coast as well and down south, knowing that, hey, they're going to be playing the ACC. So if you're a Carolina kid or, Tennessee or somewhere down there, you're knowing that if you don't end up wanting to go to Tennessee or one of the SEC or ACC schools, traditional schools, you can go to Stanford and still come home close to twice a year maybe, or, somewhere around there where you're going to be playing a few games close to home, depending on where you're at, you know what I'm saying? So regardless, you're going to get to play in front of that home crowd, and the kids from the West Coast, it's still Stanford, so they're still going to be able to be playing in front of their family. So this might actually diversify their recruitment. But this season, Cameron Brink's here to lead the way. They've got some vets coming back, but it's a whole lot of new faces, and I think a lot is going to fall on this backcourt this year. The only other double-digit returning scorer is Hannah Jump. The guard's going to be expected to take a step this season with Cameron Brink as well. They're going to be really bolstering the scoring load most of it this season. Not a whole lot of experience coming back, but a little bit. And then you also, one of the most important positions on the floor, you have a floor general in Talana Lopolo that can run the offense. She's an assist machine, one of the best passers in the nation, efficient. And that's something that you really, really get excited about, is the fact that when you do have a point guard coming back that's a vet, that's experienced, she's getting experience more so with Team USA basketball. So she's going to come back a different player after a solid freshman year. So they do have some pieces to build around. And, of course, Cameron Brink. I won't dive too much into that. If y'all want to hear more about my dissecting of Cameron Brink's game and my expectations for this season, go check out my video on the top player of the year candidates for this season. But Brink, two-time defensive player of the year coming in, has been sensational in the 3v3 World Cups with Team USA. She's just looking like a totally different player, which is scary. I think her offense will take a big jump this year. But this season, they have a chance to leave the Pac-12 as champions. Next season, looking ahead, if Cameron Brink does leave, it was big blows. I mean, you lose Haley Jones. That's a lot of production to replace, first off. So you lose her, and that's been a pillar of your program for several years now. So that's a tough loss. You're not just going to replace that with one player. On top of that, Lauren Betts, the departures of Jones and Lauren Betts are crucial. Lauren Betts, the top player in the nation coming in last year as a freshman, played valuable minutes with this team and was expected to be one of the players that was going to come back this year and carry the torch with Cameron Brink, and they could build this team around. And it would have been ideal. She transfers to UCLA, and not only do they lose Betts, but she has a younger sister who might have considered Stanford as well if her sister was there, who's also a five-star recruit. So you potentially miss out on two players because you fumbled the bag with the older sister. Now you're not going to get a chance with the little sister. So you look at that, the departures are painful. They don't really have a whole lot of young talent compared to like a lot of other powerhouse teams. So they're going to have to do work in the recruitment trail and the transfer portal. And maybe this move helps them in the transfer portal too. You got a kid that doesn't want to play all their games out west. You playing in the ACC now, you getting a lot more exposure, man. They're not going to have to be playing their games at damn near midnight. So I think that will impact them as well with trying to lure some experience in this transfer portal. This season, they've got a good group. All steam ahead. They should roll through and do their thing. They should be the favorites in the Pac-12. But next season, heading to the ACC, not having a veteran presence, not having really a star player in a brand new conference, That's where it could be messy. They could be in the middle of a rebuild next season, and it might take a couple of years for them to get back to the standard they're used to. But overall, I do think this move to the ACC benefits them in recruiting, scheduling, and exposure especially, and the competition will be raised. Y'all holler at your boy in the comments. Let me know what y'all think about the situation and how the Cardinals will stand up in the big bad ACC. And make sure you hit that subscribe button for all the latest. And join our memberships. We got that exclusive content coming daily, weekly, whenever you need it. And until next time, we out.